Welcome everybody. In this video we're going to be going over what I feel is the tier list for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Now before some of you current UMK3 players look at this list and want to vomit, keep in mind that this list is very outdated. Unfortunately, this is the last list I had made for this game way back in 2011. When I was last playing UMK3 as my main game, this was the tier list I had for this game. Right before UMK9 was releasing. Now this list is extremely outdated. There's a lot of placements on this that I don't agree with anymore. For example, Kitana is a bit too high. Same with Robot Smoke. Sonya is too low. Even some of the bottom tiers I would change because they're not in the correct spots. So we're going to talk about what I think is the current tier list now, almost 15 years later, in 2025, because this list was made way back in 2011. And just to discuss why I feel some of these characters were in these spots back then is, way back then, people were playing UMK3 in a different way. The meta was more revolved around a lot of block jabbing and playing more of a slow-paced style. And when you think about it, the reason a lot of us were doing this back then during the Xbox Live days, for when they released UMK3 on Xbox Live in 2006, UMK3 kind of exploded back then because it was the first time a lot of people were able to play this game online. And sadly, that port of the game was not very good. It had like built-in delay. The online was terrible. So when you're playing back then, characters now that are actually a lot better than they were way back before on the console era, a lot of these characters were held back by the fact that we were playing on things like Xbox controllers. Imagine trying to play on Xbox and doing some of the things that current players do now, like where they're punishing sweeps on block with Ermac's lift or Mileena's roll, and they're performing instant air fireballs with Kabal, which makes Kabal a lot better than back then in a different way. So it's very important to note that some of these characters I had up here, like Kitana, for example, the reason why I thought she was top 4, top 5 is because due to the meta being so heavy on block jabbing, people playing more like a safe style, because it was kind of hard to play a reactionary style or more of a style regarding being able to execute things that were difficult back then in the terrible netcode and the controllers. Characters like Kitana I had high up because her instant air fan is really the only thing you could say is difficult to do about her. Everything else is pretty simple, straightforward. Her strings are easy to do. She's not really a combo character. She's limited in that her other special moves like Square Wave and Fan Lift are severely nerfed coming from MK2. Her Fan Lift is basically useless, and her Square Wave is super. It's used on very rare occasion, but you can do something like an anti-air high punch Square Wave. That's about it, or some specific corner combos. So characters like Kitana were higher up because she was very easy to use, and her instant air fan was one of the moves that was able to counter the block jabbing meta back then. Like if you were playing against a Kabal block jabbing or Nightwolf or whatever, Kitana was really good in that environment because she could instant air fan and start her pressure and shut that down, and it was difficult to fight her back then, along with her being also more annoying to play against and lag because of her nature of her being more jumpy. So Kitana was a lot better back then. Right now, let's do her positioning. I'd say if I had to move her, I would definitely move her down a tier. So we'd move her down here. We would move her down here. This seems more accurate for her. Before we get into specifics here, let's do this. Let's start from the S tier and work our way down, because I'm gonna fix a lot of tiers. So in S tier, definitely Kabal, still considered the best in the game. I'm gonna explain why. For all the characters on why I'm ranking them places. So Kabal, best jabs in the game. One of the best throws in the game, which complements his jabbing even further. Then what Kabal players are doing now that they weren't doing back then in 2006 Xbox Live and 2009 and 10 MAME days was now that these Kabal players have learned how to instant air fireball with him. And I know you're probably thinking, well, how did they not know how to do this back then? You know, MK9 was out. People learned how to do snare fireballs with MK9 very quickly, like literally week 1 of the game. The difference between MK9 and UMK3 is the execution is 10 times harder in these older games like UMK3. So you have to keep in mind, being able to constantly do Kabals and snare fireballs in UMK3 requires a ton of work and execution. You got to be on point to do them. Whereas in MK9, it was 50 times easier to do because MK9 had very long buffer windows. It was, you know, more of a modernized game. So in MK9, you could do like back, the input would be stored for a couple seconds, and then tap back 1, you do an instant air fireball, you could repeat that. In this game, the buffering for a lot of special moves isn't really there. It's very strict. So you have to literally, I'm not even joking, in like a 2-frame window, if you want to do a perfect instant air fireball Kabal in UMK3, you have to very quickly plink up, back, back 1. Very quickly. If you don't do it to the frame or 2, you come off the ground, his instant air fireball will go over a lot of characters' heads, which will make it not as good. So you gotta really practice. It's gonna take you months to master that. But once you get it down, it makes Kabal so much more dangerous to fight because he's one of the strongest zoning characters. He can dominate some characters just doing that, and it's very hard for some characters to apply their block jab against Kabal. He shuts it down because he can instant air fireball you, chip you. Then he's plus 20. He can come in to pressure you and so on. So Kabal, this is the reason why he's number 1, because he has arguably the best zoning in the game. Want to be technical. He's very demanding on execution to pull that off. Obviously, it's going to require a lot of practice. He's got a mid-combo string launcher, good damage. He's got the best anti-air in the entire game, being his spin, which is 2 frames in this game. You cannot jump at Kabal. He will always anti-air you if you try to jump at him or you try to cross him up into 50%. So, extremely powerful character. Then on to number 2, we have Smoke. Human Smoke, who has one of the best mid-launchers in the game. It's so dangerous. The fact that a lot of other characters, where they go for their mid-launchers, they'll try to clip you on knockdown, but because they're like 4 or 5 hits, sometimes you're full out of the combo. Human Smoke's mid-launcher is just 2 hits. He does high kick, low punch, 2 fast hit launcher. If you try to jump or jump on wake up or whatever, it will clip you out of there and launch you, and he'll still convert. So every time his launcher hits you, it's always going to convert into something. You can't, you know, try to sneak in and jump or whatever. It leads to massive damage. He's getting 60% off of it. He has a 1-frame air throw, which he can shut down a lot of the jumping characters like Kung Lao, Kitana. It's very hard to cross him up because he could jump into instant air throw to get you out of there. He has good jabs because he's a male ninja. He has good other male ninja normals like high kicks, solid sweep, good roundhouse. He's a teleporter, which means almost impossible to corner because of his teleport. He's got very good mobility due to his teleport, which he's constantly using. And then on top of that, to close out on Human Smoke, is he's got his spear as well, which is a good punisher on a lot of attacks. It's a quick special, and he can even punish some characters' sweeps on block, which is huge. Now here's where we're going to be changing stuff on this tier list. So for the most part, my tier list back in 2011 with this tier list, S tier, is mostly the same, with Kabal and Human Smoke being 1 and 2. But I'm going to move up Ermac, because Ermac now is a lot better than he was back then during that time period. Because back then, not only was it annoying to unlock Ermac when you were playing on Xbox, because you had to unlock him, Mileena, and Classic Sub the regular way, and then, if I remember correctly, it wouldn't save when you would restart the game, so you would have to keep doing that over and over to unlock them. So Ermac, Mileena, and Classic Sub weren't played as much on Xbox because of how tedious it was to constantly have them unlocked and playable. And on top of that, even when some people were playing Ermac back then, like on MAME, when the shift was kind of going towards MAME in 2009, a lot of the Ermac players back then weren't doing what Ermac players are doing now in these later years, is where they're able to punish sweep with his telelift, which is incredibly strong. So Ermac also, you're going to notice a pattern here. The S tier in this game, the top tiers, are very difficult to play. Ermac requires a lot of execution to play him properly. When I say execution, I mean to punish a sweep on block, you're probably thinking you just block it and do it. No, it's actually, remember, this game does not have buffering like the modern fighting games. You're going to have to manually do these inputs quickly. And because of the speed of the game being fast, when you block a sweep in this game, his punish window to do it is basically a just frame. You gotta be on point. You gotta be very clean with it. If you're off by a frame, your lift is gonna get blocked, and then a character like Human Smoke Kabal, they're going to kill you. So I can't stress enough, the execution in this game is very important. Ermac, in my opinion, is actually the second hardest character to play, I would say, after Kabal. Because just the demand of being able to pull that off consistently at the highest level and not make a mistake, because if you do get punished severely, you can lose rounds for missing his telelift punish on a sweep. So Ermac, insanely good punishing game. Telelift, the best punishing special for sweeps in the entire game. Most characters are going to be frightened out of their mind to do a sweep on Ermac, because if you can pull that off, they're getting launched in the air to like 70%. Ermac has 100% corner combos. He could relaunch people. His relaunch infinite is also a just frame on a lot of characters, similar to Human Smoke, because Ermac and Human Smoke can do that, but very tight on that. He's a teleporter. He's got an okay fireball. He's got male ninja normals. Ermac, definitely top 3. Now we go on to the next tier, A, and this may be a little controversial, but I feel like Sonya I would consider being number 4. I don't know why, but Sonya is not very popular in UMK3 for how strong she is. It doesn't reflect. You would think a lot of people would have flocked to her, because when you look at the other top tiers, everybody and their mom is playing Kabal and Human Smoke and Ermac and Nightwolf, but Sonya isn't very popular. I'm assuming it's because of her playstyle is more on the lame side. Sonya isn't doing all these like flashy, telelift punishes or Kabal instant air fireball. She's kind of more of your like straightforward footsie character. Her whole game plan is to machine gun her sweep, because she has one of the best sweeps in the game. Her Kano and Jax have the best frame data on sweeps. So her whole game plan is to constantly machine gun sweeps. Characters like Ermac can't even punish her sweep because of how safe it is and how fast it is. So you're constantly doing sweeps to her, and then she has the best crouching low kick in the game, which you're constantly mashing crouching low kick, low kick, low kick. So in a way, you could say she's not as hype or interesting as other characters to watch because of her lame defensive playstyle, where other characters are, trying to do jabs, do this. Sonya's just over there sweeping you to death, using her small hurt box where she's hard to hit, makes a lot of moves whiff on her, even some mids because she's mashing crouching low kick. And then on top of that, you try to jump around her, which you kind of do have to jump against Sonya, because she can keep you out with sweeps. She has a very good anti-air. Her upward bite kick will always anti-air cross you up, and then when she hits you with that, she gets Oki after that. She also has a mid launcher into a pop-up, which she ends combos in her leg grab, which her leg grab guarantees offense and Oki after, because how plus it is. It's like a plus 40 knockdown. She gets to press you after. She gets free. Her knee pressure, her up close high kick is barely minus on block. Other characters have a lot worse of a high kick up close. In terms of close high kick, she can do her knee on you and kind of almost use it as like a pseudo run jab pressure. It's not as good as run jab pressure because it's not plus, but it recovers quick compared to other characters. So she has her own shenanigans, which makes her very good. I think Sonya is going to be one of the characters that people are going to realize how good they are once we get this new collection with GGPO, and hopefully with a rank system. You're going to see Sonya is going to be one of those characters that is going to be regarded, I think, easily top 5 character, how good she is. Now, after Sonya, this is another hot take, is Mileena I would put over here. Now, back then, Mileena, believe it or not, back then when I made my 2011 tier list, when I moved her up here, I got a lot of flack for putting Mileena in upper mid, because people were like, how are you putting Mileena up there? All of her specials are unsafe. She has damage protection, this and that. She was actually considered bottom 2 at one point for years. Even during Xbox Live era, she was considered bottom 2. But, I mean, Mileena on Xbox Live, she was so hard to play. Not only because the netcode was horrendous, good luck playing Mileena in that condition, but she was one of the characters you had to unlock. So Mileena was not explored very much at all. But she was one of the characters I used a lot on MAME. On MAME, I'd say my most played characters were Kitana, Nightwolf, Mileena, and Kabal. Those are the 4 I was playing a lot. And I realized that playing Mileena, that this character had potential. She was a lot better than people realized. And the reason being that, yes, her role is very unsafe. Yes, her role does have damage protection, unlike other characters, launchers like Kabal. But even with that, Mileena can still get over 30% with her role, in a lot of cases on some characters. And it's still a fast punisher. So Mileena has one of the fastest punishers in the game, along with Kabal's spin. You can punish a lot. You can even punish things like, Nightwolf shoulder, which I know Kabal and Mileena can punish, even though it's like a just frame because of how difficult it is to punish Nightwolf shoulder in that game. She has female ninja jabs, which are some of the best jabs in the game. She has her instant air Sai, which can get people off block jabbing, and then she's plush. It's a way for her to chip and zone people. She has a silent sweep, which female ninjas have. Only Mileena, Kitana, and Jade are the only characters in the game that have silent sweeps, meaning when they go to do a sweep, they don't make any noise. So sometimes they can catch you off guard. You're trying to like jab with them or play footsies or whatever, and then all of a sudden they go into sweep and it'll catch you off guard. She can also, talking about sweeps, punish sweeps on block with a roll into a combo, which makes her pressure even scarier in that regard. And then in the corner, she has a tactic that only her Robot Smoke and Sector can do, where if they block a knee starter in the corner, or like a poke, or any move that gives you that pushback in the corner, which they put in this game in UMK3 to prevent people from being stuck in the corner, there was like this pushback effect. Mileena can use that. She can abuse that mechanic and go into her roll, which will counter people, and then it'll freeze you in that state and launch you. So she has that defensive mechanic that is really good in the corner. So Mileena, in my opinion, when it comes down to it, playing her properly, and yes, a common trend is she is one of the harder characters to play. Again, her execution on doing roll quickly out of block to punish things, being able to hold. She's a charged character with her side moves, so she's kind of awkward to play. You have to hold the high punch button down to charge her side attack for 2 seconds to use it, but then you have to play her by jabbing and doing her other attacks and combos, so she's very awkward to play. You gotta put a lot of work to play her properly, but she's rewarding because once you master this and understand how to use her properly and get all of her difficult mechanics down, she ends up being a top 5 character. So she ends up being one of the best characters in the game. So Mileena, definitely in the new gen UMK3, one of the best characters. Now after Mileena, I would say Nightwolf. Nightwolf, an extremely strong character. He's also, I would say he's the easiest top tier to play in UMK3. There is stuff with him that requires execution, like he's got his B&B staples where you do the string launcher into 3 hatchets on male ninjas. That's hard to do. That's a just frame to do if you don't have glitch cancel, and if you do have glitch cancel, it's a 2-frame window. So he's got some pretty difficult combos if you want to go over, if you want to do the fancy stuff. His shoulder punish is not one of the harder things to do, but it's something you're going to have to practice to be able to punish sweeps with shoulder. You're going to have to practice that down. But for the most part, Nightwolf is pretty straightforward to use. He's the easiest top tier to play. His mid launcher goes into like 30-40% when they get launched into air. His shoulder's an easy input to do. The forward low kick. It's one of the best specials in the game because of the priority on it. It's got a massive hitbox. You can anti-air with it. It shuts down a lot of the block jabbing and hectic playstyle some characters try to enforce, because the way to punish it is because it's so difficult to punish on block. Again, Kabal, who has the fastest special in the game, it's a just frame punish for Kabal basically. And I remember Shock would do some stuff which I never knew back then because no one online was doing this because of the netcode being so bad. But I remember one time I played Shock offline in 2008. We were playing at an offline casual gathering at, I believe it was Phil's place, and I remember Shock blocked my Nightwolf shoulder offline, and he punished it with an uppercut with Reptile, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know you could do this, because no one does this online, because of the netcode. So in theory, you could uppercut punish it with some characters that have good uppercut hitboxes, like Reptile, but it's a just frame. It's insanely hard to do. And if the uppercut whiffs, well, I mean, Nightwolf's going to be in your face, and then he can press you, so it's something you could occasionally go for. The only other characters I know that can punish it reliably are Kabal and Mileena with roll and spin, but even so, those are extremely tight window to do it in. But basically, Nightwolf, a very abusable special, very hard to stop because of the speed of the game and the block stun when you come out of block. So Nightwolf forces you to sit there and neutral duck without blocking, which is a way you have to play against Nightwolf to make his shoulder whiff, because his shoulder and whiff has a lot better frames on block compared to it being whipped. So a way you would fight Nightwolf is you would whiff his shoulder and then full combo him. But it's scary to do that because you can't react to shoulder. You have to commit to crouching. So Nightwolf can use that to his advantage, run in and then try to launch you into a pop-up. So Nightwolf has his own metagame he's playing. One of the strongest characters in the game. Now on to this next character, Robot Smoke. This character should not be up here. I'm gonna move Robot Smoke down a tier. And I would say right now, I believe the S tier is accurate with how I feel is now. It's Kabal, Human Smoke, Ermac. Then A tier, Sonya, Mileena, Nightwolf. Then the tier after this, I would say, is Sindel. For the most part, a lot of us kind of knew Sindel was a good character. I mean, she has good staples. She has her Scream's a good special move. You can use it to punish sweeps and full combo them, even though it's just frame. Which, I mean, a pattern in this game. A lot of the execution is pretty demanding. But she has that. She has her just frame sweep punish with her Scream. We known before she has decent special with her air fireball. You can shut down sweepers like Sonya, Kano, and Jax and make them kind of zone them out in a way with Sindel's unique air fireball downward because it'll get them off wanting to do sweeps repeatedly. So she has okay zoning in some matchups. She has some of the lower hitting jab hitboxes, which is pretty good. It's super dangerous in the corner because she has her own unique infinites that she does other ways now, which people were not doing back then during the early main days in Xbox Live. That is something that has made her a lot more dangerous, which helps her move up. She has good damage, mid-starter launcher into, almost 50%, anti-air high punch into Scream, into anti-air high punch again, Scream, into launcher, you're doing like 60, which Sindel was always doing even back then. And for the most part, yeah, Sindel is just, she's very, the execution on her, I know it feels like I'm saying this a lot for a lot of characters, but the execution on her, if you can master her flight cancels in the corner jab off the launcher, she can 100% a lot of characters. So she's a character that's very dangerous. You get hit by her, mid-screen you're looking to eat like 60, 70, anti-air she's doing 70, in the corner you get launched, she's doing 100%. One of the scary characters to play against. So Sindel definitely I'd say is probably, what is this, 3, 6, the 7th best in the game. You're going by potential. After Sindel, I'd say Reptile. He's in an accurate place. Reptile, another character. Execution demanded, of course, with his combos. You're going to have to practice all of his different variants with his high punch, Reptile dash conversions. You're going to have to know what characters he can do what. Some characters you can do like triple high punch like Jax. Some characters you're going to have to do like double high punch, slight step up high punch like male ninjas. Other characters you're going to have to incorporate low punch, high punch like Kabal. He's got all these different conversions. He's a character that requires a lot of work to invest in on learning all of his different specific character combos and conversions, but he's also one of the high damaging characters, so you will see at high level play, it's common for Reptile to block a teleport or launch someone, get a mistake, hit someone with his force ball and get 100% off of that. And to touch on his force ball, one of the best zoning moves in this game, one of the best ground specials, it's very spammable. It's a fast mid-hitting launching projectile which makes some characters scared to move at sweep distance, because if they go to do a sweep and Reptile does this, you're getting launched and now you're dead. You can potentially go into 100%, or if you're sitting there respecting it, he'll do slow force ball, fast force ball, slow, he's just machine gunning these force balls to make you want to approach him and play his game. So he's one of the better zoning defensive characters. He's going to be one of the characters you have to jump against to get around his zoning, and you're going to have to be careful with his anti-airs that can go into force ball and lead to damage. So Reptile definitely, I'd say, is number 8. One of the better characters in the game. For sure top tier. After Reptile, I would say Robot Smoke could go here, but it's kind of debatable. I feel like this could be either way, Robot Smoke or Kitana. I'm going to give the edge to Robot Smoke just because he has some stuff that Kitana lacks. Robot Smoke has a good punisher with his spear, which you can use to punish sweeps on block. He has the best air throw in the game with the biggest hitbox. His air throw, which starts off in one frame when you go into the air, has a massive hitbox. Sometimes you'll be like away from him in there, and he'll still find a way to catch you and throw you. So great air throw, best air throw in the game. Good punisher with his harpoon, and then he has invisibility, which is one of the best special moves in the game, and he is the best invisibility character. And I forgot to mention it for Reptile. Reptile also does have invisibility that makes him better. But Robot Smoke being the best invisible character, there's only two, him and Reptile. Robot Smoke's invisible is scary because every time he hits you with a Punisher or anti-air or his harpoon, he gets a guaranteed invisibility, which means you're gonna constantly have to deal with him going invisible. When he's invisible, he's scary because you don't understand what he's doing. He could be sitting there waiting for you to jump, to air throw you, or anti-air you. He could be sitting there waiting for you to do like a yellow special to teleport punch you and then combo you. He could be running up and pressuring you, jumping in. He's a very annoying character to fight when he goes invisible, which is very common for him because it's part of his basic game plan where he's hitting you with a spear and then getting guaranteed invisible and then in combos. So definitely I'd say a top 10 character. Then we get to Kitana, which I say you could debate, is Kitana here, maybe here, but I think at the highest level, Kitana is going to have some issues. One downside of Robot Smoke, which I didn't mention, is Robot Smoke has one of the weaker hurt boxes, which makes him vulnerable to getting relaunched by other characters and getting hit by other things that characters wouldn't have to deal with. The best thing about Kitana is she has grounded jabs, which makes her very good. Her Instant Air Fan, even though it's her only good special, is one of the best specials in the game. Her being able to Instant Air Fan is the reason why back then she was considered to be top 4 or top 5 by a lot of us, because she would shut down the block jabbing meta back then. She would enforce her offense. It was kind of hard to get her off of you because her being a female jabber makes her offense good on top of her being able to Instant Air Fan at any point, which makes it scary for her to apply pressure. So Kitana, definitely, I'd say top 10. Not as strong as she was led to be believed back then, but still, she's still top 10. Now we get to Kung Lao. Now Kung Lao is interesting because I think back then Kung Lao was one of the characters that was considered to be top 3, top 5, but I quickly realized this character has too many issues and weaknesses. He honestly shares a weakness that Kitana has, which I forgot to say. Kitana, the reason why she's down here isn't because of her tools. She actually has very good tools. It's because of her matchups. I'm basing this tier list also on matchups. So I don't think Reptile loses any matchup to 8-2 like Kitana does. Kitana, her only bad matchup is Kabal. With how bad Kabal beats her with the zoning and shutting down Kitana being able to jump, Kitana being able to use her mid-string, her only usable mid-string, is full combo punishable by Kabal. He can interrupt it with spin. And if you try to stagger it with Kitana to be like, oh, he may do that, he can full combo you. So that is also a huge issue with Kitana, with how bad Kabal shuts her down. She's down here mainly not because of her tools, but more so her matchups are bad against Kabal, and if you're going to play her in a tournament, people are going to counterpick you with Kabal. That's just something you're going to have to deal with. So her losing 8-2 is another reason why she's down here. But anyway, to go back on Kung Lao, I wanted to mention that because Kung Lao has the similar fate as Kitana, where on paper he has some good tools, but he has such bad matchups. Like example, against Kabal, you cannot move or deal with his zoning, and he shuts down his teleport and jumping game, which moves him down here. So I'm gonna put Kung Lao like over here. Definitely one of the lower mid-tier characters because of how bad his matchups are. Yes, he has the 100% combo with his anti-air spin, but good players aren't really gonna need to jump at Kung Lao to beat him because you can kind of contain and control him on the ground. He's not one of the safe sweep characters, so him sweeping is unsafe. His mobility and dive kick is very good, but his mid knee string does not go to a launcher, so he's got one of the weaker mid launchering attack. Basically, if you can keep Kung Lao grounded, which a lot of top tiers do, like Human Smoke's gonna be air throwing him, Kabal is gonna be zoning him, Mileena's gonna be using air size, Nightwolf's gonna be shouldering him or using his hatchet. Kung Lao has a lot of matchup issues. So even though Kung Lao does have some very strong and good tools, unfortunately the matchups just are not in his favor. He's got a lot of issues playing against some of these characters. So Kung Lao, I'd place over here. Now, going into Kano, actually better than I originally thought he was. Kano is a character that is extremely solid. He's got a lot of good tools. He's one of the best sweeping characters. He's got good punishers. He can punish sweeps on block with his knife uppercut special. He can punish them on block with his Kano ball special. He's got an anti-air throw, which he can use, which is 1 frame, which has the smallest hitbox out of all the other air throws, but it's still good. And then he has his anti-air, ball roll, which is a good anti-air. And then he has, he has a mid-screen launcher, which you can use on characters to get more damage. He has a specific corner infinite, which you can do on some characters, like male ninjas, which is also very hard to do, because you have to time to the frame when you input his choke buffer into another choke to get it's very difficult to do. It requires a lot of practice. And for the most part, Kano just overall really good. It doesn't really have any bad tools. The only issue is he even has the best jump kick in the game, I'd say. His jump kick is very strong. It's one of the harder jump kicks to anti-air for a lot of characters. The only problem with Kano is not that he's bad. His tools are good. It's just other characters above him have better tools. Like, yes, Kano has a good Punisher, but Kano's Punisher is doing like 10%, you know? When Kabal punishes you or Human Smoke, they're getting combos. When Mileena punishes you, she's getting a combo. When Kano punishes you, it's just like a tap in the wrist. Like, you just take 10%. When he's launching you, he's not doing like, you know, 60% combos like other characters, not counting his relaunch that works on some characters. So he's a good character, just his tools aren't as overpowering as other characters. That's why he's down here. It's not to say Kano's bad. I think you could possibly win a tournament with Kano if you're playing very good and you're outplaying other people. It's going to be harder to beat them because they're playing better characters, but Kano's not very bad. After Kano, I'd say Jax. Similar to Kano, Jax has a lot of good tools. He's got one of the best sweeps in the game, a good air throw. His air throw is even better than Kano's. He's got one of the best mid-strings in the game that goes into a pseudo-launcher mid-screen where you can end in sweep, and in corner you get full combos. He's got good ground projectile with his single fireball and his double fireball blast. He has a ground pound which he can charge. Even though it's nerfed from MK2, it's still good in UMK3 because occasionally you can sneak it in and it'll hit people. But the thing that makes Jax worse than Kano and down here is that Jax has some shortcomings where if you don't have glitch cancel with him, his mid-hitting string, which is very good, will end up whiffing on a lot of characters, will make you punishable. So you have to opt to use his 3-hit mid launcher, which is high kick, back kick, which cuts his damage down a lot mid-screen. And then he's also one of the big hurtbox characters, which means when people launch him, it's party time. Reptile launches you, he's going for the easy infinite. Other characters will launch you, they're going for super fat optimals because Jax is so big in this game. They can do a lot of moves that would clip him that normally wouldn't. So Jax, even though he has a lot of good tools similar to Kano, he has more shortcomings and weaknesses because of his big hurtbox and some of the glitch cancel shortcomings he has. So Jax would have placed there. Then after that, I'm going to say Kung Lao is probably the best after Jax and Kano. So I'd place Kung Lao here. Stryker, I'm going to move down a tier. Stryker's overrated. I know back then the whole thing was people were raving like, oh my god, Stryker's gun infinite. This was back on Xbox Live Day. Stryker was like, dude, Stryker's like the secret counter to Kabal. He hits you with his mid launcher. He gets 100%, this and that. The reality is Stryker isn't down here because his tools suck. Like, he does have one of the best mid launchers, but the matchups are what gets to Stryker. He's got some very bad matchups, mainly against the female ninjas. He can't jab them because Stryker's so tall with his hitbox on his punching attack, on his jabs. They whiff on the male ninja, on the female ninja characters, and the male ninja characters and some other characters. Meanwhile, the female ninjas can jab him back. So they're playing UMK3. Meanwhile, Stryker's playing like MK2 Defense Force, and he just gets overrun by them. So Stryker, unfortunately, due to hitbox issues and some very bad matchups, yes, he can fight Kabal. Actually, he's one of the solid characters to play against Kabal. I think he loses to Kabal like 6-4. So he's one of the lower tiers that can surprisingly fare against Kabal pretty well. But the other characters give him issues in the game, so he's down here. Now we're gonna also move Jade. Jade, I kind of overrated a bit back then. I think Jade, you know what? This may sound crazy, but I'm gonna move Stryker down to here because I think Jade as a character is just better than Stryker. So Stryker would have to be in the next tier, in my opinion. So Jade, move her down from up here. While she does have the female ninja privilege and her glow is a good special, her returnerang is a decent projectile. The downside with Jade is she's pretty unsafe. Her special moves have limits on them, like you can't, for whatever reason, use her shadow kick to punish a sweep because the game disables it. The game says you blocked a sweep, even though in reality you could punish it, your move's disabled. So she has those issues that prevent her from being good. But I'd say she is one of the better characters after the tier above her, like Kano, Jax, Kung Lao, because She has good female ninja properties. Her glow is good to use, and she doesn't have a mid launcher, but her mid string is okay, so she'd be in D tier. After her, I'd say Sub-Zero is... I'm kind of moving back here. Sub-Zero is good, but doesn't have mid launchers. His specials are okay. Ice Clone is okay. He's kind of nerfed from MK3, where what made him very good in MK3 has been kind of taken away from him in this game. So while he's okay, he's just one of the better lower tier characters. Scorpion, actually, a little underrated. Probably the best character in this tier, because he has male ninja hitboxes, which it's good to be a male ninja when you're using jabs and you know, high kicks, roundhouses. He's a teleporter, very good. He has an air throw like Human Smoke, good. He's good at stopping jumping. His spear's a good punisher. Here's the sad thing about Scorpion. In reality, Scorpion is actually a good character. He's like Kano, just not as... doesn't have some of the good stuff Kano has, like Kano's jump kick and Kano's relaunches and some of the crazy combos and stuff. Scorpion, sadly, is just a worse version of Human Smoke. If you want to learn a character, if you want to get good with a character in UMK3 and learn the fundamentals with, I would say Scorpion is one of the best characters to learn the game with, because he's very simple. You learn how to anti-air with him with anti-air high punches, air throws, high kicks. He's got a solid sweep. He's got good mobility with teleporter. With his teleporting, you can anti-zone with him. You can do like jump shenanigans, like jump kick teleport, move around. You can, you know, he's punished things with his spear into like if you're punishing a sweep or an unsafe special. Scorpion can do all that. The problem is he does like no damage. He hits you with his mid string. Human Smoke, where Human Smoke would launch you in 60%, Scorpion is doing his 4-hit mid string, which just does like 20%. So no one really cares. Scorpion hits you with a spear, again, no one really cares. You're doing his 4-hit string for 20. I know in some characters he could walk back, roundhouse, teleport, spear, that stuff, which works in some characters for like 40. But mainly you're not going to be doing that stuff with Scorpion. So Scorpion, unfortunately, just very underwhelming. He's a solid character at a base. He just doesn't offer the damage and what you need that the characters above him can dish out. Scorpion, I'd say the best character in D tier. Now we get to Sheeva. This character, extremely overrated. Now back then, I'm honestly going to put her like down here. Like 8 characters below. Because back then on Xbox Live and MAME and whatever, because the climate was different with how people played the game, and because of the netcode was so bad, people could get away with doing her specials like teleport, and it was kind of hard to stop because of the delay and the horrible netcode. So in reality, it created this illusion where it was like, yo, she was kind of scary. She could teleport, she could come in, she could sneak in, her ground stop unblockable. Whoa, what is she gonna do? But when you try to play her offline, you realize this character sucks. You can react to almost all of her specials. She's super laggy. She has the worst hurtbox in the game, which makes it so she can get relaunched by everybody. Her animation of blocking is horrendous because she's the only character in the game that has this issue where if you crouch block with her, the game will transition you to stand block for a couple frames for putting you back crouch. And this makes her super vulnerable to the corner of block jab infinite and getting absolutely abused by characters. So the fact that she has all these terrible specials, horrendous hurt boxes, and her size making her get infinited and hit by all this crap puts her at the bottom. Yes, she does have some range on her attacks. I know she has some range on her high kick. She has big legs. She has some decent anti-airs, but it's just not enough. The other characters are going to have... they're going to steamroll her with her issues. So Sheeva gets moved down a tier. Now we're going to go to Classic Sub, which... I would actually put him above Unmasked. I think he's better because he has the launching the launching combo. He has the best slide punisher, which I know Reptile and Unmasked Sub can use that to punish people on block. If you block like a sweep, you can do that. He's got the best out of all the slides. His freeze projectile is okay, decent to use. And then his ground puddle is kind of dangerous to use because you can react to it offline. Like Kabal will always spin you. Human Smoke will teleport you. A lot of people could just run up and launch you. Online, this character becomes better than he really is because of the lag. But I'd say he's better than Unmasked just because he has a launcher. With Glitch Cancel, you can really launch people. And anti-air, he gets a lot of damage because you can anti-air high punch ground freeze, then go into your relaunch combo and do that. So he does have that going for him, but for the most part, just... he has underwhelming special moves and doesn't offer much to the table aside from that. Now we get to the new tier, and honestly, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm realizing that actually there's even another tier that I'm gonna have to add. Let's do that. Now this is more accurate. I would honestly put Sheeva down here. How bad she is. She's not in Stryker's tier. And let's name this F tier. Yes, there's actually an F tier in this game that I'm realizing now. Because there's no way Sheeva's on the same tier as Stryker. So now in this tier, we're gonna have Liu Kang, which I'd say, yeah, Liu Kang, you could argue is here. He's got a decent punisher with flying kick and bite kick. He can punish sweeps unlock with bite kick or flying kick. He's a charge character, which means you have to use low kick for that. His instant fireball sucks because they nerfed it so bad from MK2. They also nerfed his bite kick badly from MK3. Liu Kang just has a bunch of nerfs in this game. His launcher, he has a high punch launcher, not a mid launching string. He has a 4-hit mid launching string, which is okay. And the corner gets a sweep after it, but again, Liu Kang has issues other characters have. His tools just aren't good enough. Him getting nerfed so much from MK3. The launcher he does have, which is a high hitting launcher, high punch, back, low punch, it causes like quadruple damage protection or something, which makes the combo after it horrendous. He'll launch you, do jump kick, fireball, flying kick, and it does like barely 25%. It's awful. So Liu Kang, low tier because he has decent tools, he just doesn't have the damage to make them count. That's really what holds him back. Now after Liu Kang, we have Sector, which I'd kind of put Sector maybe behind Shang. Sector, for the most part, is the worst, well, not the worst robot, but he doesn't have a mid-launching string. He's got the vulnerabilities that Robot Smoke shares with being easy to relaunch and stuff. His homing missiles is okay, but there's a lot of ways around it with lowering your hurt box to get around it. He has the worst, I know I already said this, but he has the worst mid-string. It's a 2-hitting mid-string that hits you back for like 16%. It is awful. So no one cares when they get hit by Sector. Then he has a teleport. And his projectiles or whatever. So Sector, unfortunately, pretty bad in this game. Shang, you know what? Shang, when you think about it potential-wise, I'm going to say he's the best character in this tier because he can morph. So I'm not going to do a ranking where it's like if you play Shang without morphing, because morphing is part of his ability. Morph into any character. You can technically morph into Kabal, and that already makes Shang better than all these characters behind him. But he has some hurtbox advantages. It's hard for some characters to combo him because of his weird hurtbox. Some combos don't work on Shang because the way he falls. His jab is okay. He's got a decent mid-string, but it's not a launcher. His specials suck. The straight fireball, double and triple fireball are just terrible. His ground eruption is too slow. People just run up and combo you, so that move sucks. But we'll keep Shang up here because technically he can morph. He can do crazy stuff like anti-air jab you, turn into Ermac, lift you for like 80%, which Ermac would do. He could turn into Kabal and then spin you and turn into whatever top tier, so that makes him better here. Now we get to Cyrax. Cyrax is the worst robot, in my opinion, in this game. And actually, he's so bad that I think he's worse than Sector, Liu Kang, Stryker, and Shang, so we'll put him in F tier, along with Sheeva. He is the worst robot. His mid-hitting string sucks. It does like 20%, 3-hitting mid-string. His specials are horrendous. Net is so unsafe that it's scary to even use. His bombs are super unsafe. Yes, he does have 100% combos that you can do occasionally, but those are so hard to set up against top tiers. You're not going to be able to breathe or move. His teleport sucks. Character just is bad overall. And again, he's one of the characters that got nerfed pretty hard from MK3, which they did things where you can't do bombs after net, which means it's so hard to set up his 100% combo because you're going to have to actually use them in neutral, which no one is going to let you use that move in neutral. The top tiers. So going over this tier list, I'd say, man, if you guys compare this from my beginning tier list in the start of the video, it's so different. There's been so many changes. And one of the reasons is I haven't played UMK3. It's been years since I played. There was a brief period I got back into UMK3 during Fightcade because they released Fightcade on UMK3. This was back during the COVID era, during the lockdown. I think it was 2020. Where they imported UMK3 into Fightcade with GGPO and ranked and all that. So I got into the game for a brief period. I remember I was playing with some other good players like Biggs, Detroit, and there were other South American players playing in the server. You know, a lot of good foreign players outside the US that played there, and they were doing a lot of stuff that I was like, wow, no one back then was doing this when I played during the Xbox Live days and the early MAME days on 2009, 2010, people were not punishing lifts, sweeps on block with Ermac. Mileena wasn't really played back then like she is now, where they're doing all this crazy stuff. You know, people weren't doing all these new conversions and these new corner infinite setups that people do, like Sindel. And Kabal players back then were not instant fireballing. That was not Kabal what was doing back then. And it's crazy how the meta has shifted in 2020 or 2021 when I played 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like, damn, this game is actually kind of interesting to see how the meta has changed, because in a way, a lot of characters now, when the dominant strategy back then on 2010 was like block jabbing, because people just didn't understand how to play the game as well because there was no training mode, the netcode being so bad. It kind of shifted the way the game played and what it was known back then to what it isn't now. Like nowadays, if you play UMK3, if you were to play UMK3 now, in this day, 2025, against the good players that are playing in Fightcade, you're going to be dealing with people that are shutting down the block jabbing. You know, you're playing against Kabals or instant air fireballing, human smokes that are doing like instant jump punches into string checks on block for you jabbing, people that are punishing sweeps on block with all these characters that they're converting, like they're doing all this crazy stuff that was not part of the meta back then. And it changes the tier list in a way that now when I look at it, I'd say this seems like it'd be the most accurate way to display the characters in the rankings on how good they are. And what's cool is, I know I haven't played from 4 years, so I guess take this list with a little bit of grain of salt. This is how I feel now, but my opinion is still kind of similar from 4 years ago when I did last play for a brief period. I would say this is pretty accurate in how I feel the potential characters have. What will be interesting is when we get the Legacy Collection, and I hope they release a ranked mode and the netcode is good, where we can actually all play Combat League first to threes and play that way. So that way all of you can play and get good at this game. We'll have so many more players that will be able to learn and get really good at this game with a good online system. I wonder how much the tier list will shift years after that's out, when a lot of people are playing. Because I'm going to keep it real with you guys, as cool as Fightcade was to include back when I played it in 2021, there was a lot of things I didn't like about Fightcade. First of all, this is no shade at any other regions in the world, but I guess it's one of the unfortunate cases of being a USA player is USA was not popular on Fightcade back then. There was like barely a lot of Americans playing. So when you would go in the room and try to play people, you're going to be having to play against people that have one-bar connections or Wi-Fi connections from Russia or South America or Europe, wherever you're playing from. That's the downside that I saw in Fightcade, because it wasn't very popular. At most in rooms, I remember there would be like 40, 30 people. Most of them are outside USA players, because UMK3 is very popular in areas like Russia and South America, way more than it is in USA. So because of that, if you don't have a lot of people close to your region to play in online, the experience is not that good. Playing people in one bar, you do not want to play one bar UMK3 people. The game ends up being what it's not. It's almost like playing back in Xbox Live Day, where you're going to be missing Ermac telelift punishes on sweeps, characters. And by the way, when you play on lag and delay, just so you guys know, because in case this new collection coming out does have bad connections and the online isn't good, I really hope they do get it right and we have a way to play these old games in a good condition. But if they don't, guess what? Sheeva goes up a tier, because the character's annoying and lag. She's like up here. Classic Sub goes up a tier, because he's another annoying lag character. Then you have Nightwolf, who goes up a tier, because he's another lag character. And then you have Rose Smoke goes up a tier. So the tier list changes depending how bad the connection is. Let's just move these characters back down to where I had them placed. Yeah, this game has characters that become better in delay and lag, just so you know, and you guys are going to see that. Like, you're not going to have fun playing against Nightwolf online, or Classic Sub, or Sheeva when the connection is horrible and you can't react. That you're going to see the tier list kind of skews, which is why some of these characters back then were placed higher than they should have, because of the terrible online conditions that people were playing. But with that said, let me wrap it up here, because I did not expect this video to drag on this long. There's a lot to talk about UMK3. There's a lot I haven't touched on, and a lot more to talk about. What I do want to do in the future is I will be doing some character-specific videos to focus on characters. That way I can talk with them along. But I don't want the video to be like an hour long like this. This video is supposed to be a 20-minute long video. But as I was talking about it and doing this, because, you know, I record and do these videos in one go, because I don't have any recording or video editing software, so I kind of have to do this until I get my new computer at the end of the year. You guys are kind of stuck with me having to wing these videos in one try. There was so much more I ended up remembering and talking about as I went through the characters. I started remembering things like, yeah, I remember you know, that Paradigm Fightcade, you know, Nightwolf being a lot better than people think, and Sonya being super underrated, and Ermac being, you know, a tier above than he was considered back then. But yeah, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I guess you could say it's an in-depth tier list because I kind of did touch on every character as much as I could. I left out a lot of stuff on some characters because I don't want this video to be like 4 hours long. But don't worry, there's going to be more UMK3 content coming. I will touch on more characters. And it's not only going to be UMK3, I will eventually get to, you know, more of the Trilogy characters, some of the MK2 characters, and we'll go from there and that. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoy this video and like the watch. Yes, it is a very long video. But for those of you that have never played UMK3 or are going to get back into it because of this collection coming out, you can see here and be like, well, let's look at the characters. Maybe you guys will see a top tier you want to play. Like if you're a Mileena player, well, good news for you. Mileena's very good in this game. Or maybe if you want to come back and play Liu Kang, but he's not good, you can see the other top tier you can play. Maybe you would want to play Liu Kang over, play Reptile over Liu Kang or Ermac. There's a lot of options here. So hopefully this will get some topics going on, and, you know, what you guys feel, some characters, if you guys want to discuss, like, oh, is, you know, Sonya really that good? Is Ermac really on Human Smoke and Kabal's tier? It's going to be cool to see a lot of discussion on this video, and like I said, I want to see how the tier list is going to change from now once we have the Legacy Collection. Granted, it has a good rank system, which I'm hoping for, and it has good netcode. I'm hoping it does. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll end the video here, and I'll see you guys in my next video.